speaking of the writing, there's a lot of genres here, and you're dealing with some like pretty big concept stuff.
Yes.
How did you go about, if you did go about this, pulling your writer's room together? What were you sort of looking for in terms of the people who are with you and sort of the strengths that you wanted to add to your story?
We definitely wanted people who enjoyed the sci-fi genre, but across the board, the thing we looked for was, can they tell an emotional, grounded story? Can they tell the story if you remove all of the sci-fi elements from it? If you take away all the superpowers, can you tell? Are you still able to tell a story, or do you want to tell a story about just a guy who's missed 12 years of his life, and now suddenly he's thrown back into a life that's kind of left him behind, and now he's got to put all of these pieces back together. We definitely wanted to build this from the ground up, keeping it as grounded as possible, keeping it as emotional as possible, rather than finding, say, someone who, could write a really great scene where two people are flying through the air having a fist fight. Which I love, by the way. Which I will be first in line. If we, hopefully one day we have the budget to show people flying through the air having a fist fight. Someday.
Do you find, though, that because there's so much genre material out there, on the one hand, you don't want to sort of hire writers that, I don't want somebody from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., for example, because we're not going in that direction. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you need people that are going to have some reverence to the source material, and not people go, I don't go for the superhero stuff, because then you're sort of stuck, aren't you?
Yeah, we never really considered this a superhero show, which was very helpful. I mean, our touchstones were, Spielberg movies, and I'm a big fan of Rian Johnson, James Cameron, these types of directors. So we really just wanted to find people who wanted to tell an emotional story.
I'm sure that everybody involved, including the actors, has a favorite moment or a favorite part of the story, but for you, sort of being able to see the entire scope of it, is there one particular point in the season that you feel really drawn to, that you feel audiences are going to be really compelled by?
It's funny, and I'm not just saying this to play, every episode is its own unique story, and every episode takes the story in a new and exciting direction. So it definitely builds over the course of the season, and I think the last couple of episodes are tremendously exciting. But we introduce a lot of new and exciting characters in the middle of the season, and we make we have a couple bombshell reveals at in the third episode. So it's at every step of the way, we try to make this as exciting as possible. What we didn't want is to save, all of our cool reveals for the very end. We wanted to make every episode stand on its own, and I think we've done that. I hope we've done that.
How really do you have to sort of figure out the rules of the game for yourselves as well as the readers?
Yeah.
Because there has to be a point where you go, oh, come on, he can't be doing this now. You just pull that out of his hat. So do you have to sort of put everything on the table pretty early on?
Early on, even before we started breaking the second episode, we just talked about broad strokes. Who is Holden? What can he do? Where are we taking him over the course of the season? What types of stories do we want to tell? What types of stories do we not want to tell? And even if there is a moment where he does something spectacular, it's because we planned it 4 episodes in advance, and we're very, very careful about leading up to that moment. We want to make it feel authentic, and we know we want the audience to be on this ride with Holden. So the minute they're not, the minute Holden does something that kind of creates a separation between him and the audience, we failed in some way. So we try to, ease the audience along as Holden kind of, discovers these things for himself.
Are there any sci-fi superhero shows that have some sort of influences on the one that you can describe for fans that are interested in checking out this series?
It has Stranger Things. It definitely plays in that love of early Amblin movies space. I'm a big fan of Sense8 just because of how unbelievably ambitious it is, and it is 100% character centric, and yet there are these big action set pieces that you're so invested in because you care for the people at the story center, and just the scope of that show, and the care that it takes in each and every one of these emotional storylines is something that I am in awe of, and I definitely tried to bring to Beyond. That said, my first job, I was an assistant on Lost, so there's definitely a lot of Lost in this. J.J. Abrams, Damon Lindelof. I was an assistant to Eddie Kitsis and Adam Horowitz, who created Once Upon a Time, and I learned a huge amount of just genre storytelling and also character-centric storytelling from Eddie and Adam, and just watching them and seeing how they tell these fantastical stories, but with a concentration on character.
So before they drag you off, it's a chance to get on your soapbox. This will be good practice for you.
Yeah.
What would you tell people to expect from Beyond that is so different or so much cooler than anything they've ever seen?
I think Beyond, much in a way that Wizard of Oz kind of took audiences to something they had never seen before and never expected to see. I think Beyond does that on television. I think you'll see a lot of scope. You'll see basically feature level effects and feature level set pieces done on television. And you're definitely going to get a wild ride.
You're getting good at that soapbox.
Oh, good.
By season 5?
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much.